On January 1st of this year, we made a major announcement when we added Porsche as our newest partner. The first car we added to the sim was the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup, and at the same time we announced that we would be adding several more Porsches in the future. For the next Porsche, we wanted something special, something unique, something that hasn't been seen in a racing sim before, and something definitively Porsche. Today, that Porsche is here.
Just a heads up, everyone, we have the stream up.
So here we are in northern New Hampshire, where we found the perfect diesel Porsche. It's a model P133, and we're super excited to be able to scan it today. That should take us about 8 hours or so. After that, we'll do photo reference and sound recording. Then we're back to the office to build this sucker. When we're done with this project, we'll have the most authentic tractor ever built. Take that, farming simulator. It'll take some time and a lot of company resources, but we can definitely say this Porsche will be ready to launch sometime in the future.
In this cauldron of fiery wills and burning competition, rivalries heat up quicker. This is an oval of stolen victories and crushed dreams, filled with volumes of unfinished business. Sooner or later, you all become rivals. With everyone fighting over one finish line, there's never enough glory to go around.
Welcome one, welcome all to the All-Star Sim Racing Manifold Truck Series here at Texas. We've got the Lone Star 175 on hand tonight. This is Andrew Cardinale with Pit Stop Insider TV. Alongside me is Terry Mason. It should be one heck of a thriller. The track's very slick out here tonight. If I pull up our track map here tonight, hopefully you guys can maybe get a glimpse of the weather. The track surface is 105 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's going to cause these guys to be a little bit loose, and even in the trucks, even with the giant spoilers on the back end and the giant splitters on the front, these guys are going to be experiencing some loose conditions, at least at first. It may calm down as the run goes on and the tires wear out, because there won't be as much grip. But, Terry, what are you thinking as we go into tonight's race?
I'm thinking this is going to be a great race. Went out there, ran some laps in practice. And I think throttle control coming out of the exit's going to definitely run for the champion.
All right, well, Terry, it looks like your mic is skipping a little bit. I don't know if maybe push talk might help that sort itself out. But anyways, we'll pull up the chase grid real quick if we get rid of this track map for you guys. We'll pull up the chase grid coming into Texas. Chris Jennings currently has himself locked in via a win back last week at Kansas Speedway. He was ahead of, I believe it was Mike Kelly and Bradley Wilson at the end of that one, and Bradley Wilson currently in P3 in qualifying. But the more important story on hand is, like I'm saying, the chase grid only got one guy locked in. At least one of the 8 drivers currently in the chase will be able to point their way into Homestead, as we only have one race after this week at Texas, that being Phoenix. So this is crunch time for these teams. We've got currently Jeremy Rittenberg, Jeremy Bazemore, Mike Perry, Matthew Cox, Kurt Rittenberg, David Dolliver, and Doug McCullum all trying to work their way into the round of 4 at Homestead Miami Speedway. All of this, of course, was brought to you live by PSI TV, and looks like these guys are getting ready to get going for 115 laps here in Fort Worth, Texas. Based on the qualifying speeds, who's your pick here tonight, Terry?
Let's see. Looking at the speeds, it looks like Blake O'Connell's at a heck of a lap down. So I'm curious to see what he can do out there, if he can start on the pole and take every lap.
I'll tell you what, Blake O'Connell has certainly been one of the quicker guys here in the All-Star Sim Racing Manifold Truck Series. He hasn't been able to close one of these deals out just yet. He's been on the receiving end of some bad luck quite often, and it's really come back to bite him. But, he wasn't in the chase to begin with, so he's just been out here trying to get what he can in the TN Designs Chevrolet Silverado. All TN Designs trucks tonight, I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe will be sporting some form of pink. As October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so look out for them. I think we might have some other trucks in the field sporting the pink colors. Looks like Scott Brotherton will be starting to Blake's outside, with Bradley P. Wilson taking 3rd on the inside of row 2. Chris Jennings is going to start from 4th place. Joe Hudson and Jeremy Bazemore will take up 5th and 6th in row 4. Or row 3, rather. Yeah, row 3. In row 4, we'll have Aiden Young and Ed Burrell in the 999 and the 17. Row 5 will be taken up by Mike Perry and Jimmy North, and I'll let you take away the rest.
Starting 11th, we'll have Mike Montasi. I hope I said his name. 12th place, James McGee. Starting 13th, we'll have Mike Kelly, and 14th, we'll have Cody Specker. Starting 15th, we'll have Randy Roberts, and 16th, Eric Rogers. And starting 16th, the last car to take qualifying lap is Louis Robinette.
And there's a few guys after him that didn't take time. Starting those guys off will be the number 4 of Josh Cheney. Then we'll go to the 57 of Jeff Gilmore, the 33 of Doug McCullum, one of our chasers trying to get into the next round. Also David Dolliver, another one of our chasers, in the number 23. We've even got the 2 Rittenberg brothers, Kurt and Jeremy, alongside each other. Looks like they will be 23rd and 24th. In 25th is going to be the 78 of Matthew Miller, and the 08 will be starting alongside him. That's going to be Mike Payton. I believe we had one more behind him. And we have one more. That's going to be the number 43 of Richard Fletcher.
Yep.
But as we go to the pole sitter, once again, that is Blake O'Connell. He put down one heck of a lap, and we'll be watching on board with Bradley Wilson, who's starting right behind Blake as we take the green flag here. Bradley Wilson has Old Ken Hancock's Quality Goods on the hood. Number 3 of Scott Brotherton has the Rims 1 Chevrolet out here tonight. He's starting second. Blake O'Connell, a little bit of blinking there, starting first in the TN Designs Chevrolet. Now that blinking you see is just caused by some impurities in the internet connection. This is of course iRacing or internet racing, so you can expect to see a little bit of that. It's just natural considering we're racing online. So as we're coming out of turn 4, these guys are getting ready to take the green flag here, Terry.
Yep, looks like we pace car is in.
And green flag flies on the field. Blake O'Connell takes the field down into turn 1. Scott Brotherton on his outside, actually falling back to the outside of Bradley P. Wilson going into turn 1. Looks like Chris Jennings is going to fit his way in between the number 3 and the number 12 of Joe Hudson. He's going to take third place away easily, as Bradley Wilson's already going to try and vie for that second position, or first position rather.
Yeah, just talking with Bradley before the race, he said he has found some speed, so I'm curious to see how fast he's going to get back up to the front. I know he's dying to get in the lead and leads laps.
Yeah, I tell you what, the draft is going to be a huge factor here tonight. Even with these hotter temperatures, the draft is really going to come into play early, late, doesn't matter when it's going to be, considering, you know, these guys, these trucks rather, punch a huge hole in the air. It's one thing to keep in mind watching these guys go around is they punch a huge hole in the air with the big old spoilers and the tall roofs of these trucks, and that really opens up the opportunity for draft anywhere really that they go, even on road courses. It can help out. So I think we'll see some draft moves come into play that we might have seen at Talladega with these guys and at Daytona earlier this week with the NMNTS Racing Series. But for now, these guys, I think, are just trying to settle in. It's only lap 3 of 115. This is a 172.5 mile event. We still have Blake O'Connell with some connection issues up front. Hopefully that sorts itself out.
Oh yeah, I like the way everyone's kind of got single file, not going to make any crazy moves just yet, just run some laps, see what their car is going to feel like in traffic, and make a pit stop and see what kind of tire wear they're going to get.
And it looks like Blake O'Connell is going to do the sportsman-like thing and take the 67 down to the apron here as we're going to check in on him. I'm not sure if he's going to let the whole field by or just a few guys. Looks like he's going to let the whole field by here in 3 and 4 just to keep from causing any issues with that impure connection there as we see some of his teammates going by, as well as some chasers who are in a very, very stressful position, I'd say. They're starting from the back. They didn't take a time in qualifying, and one of those guys is going to be Kurt Rittenberg. We saw him. He was pretty strong at Charlotte Motor Speedway a few weeks ago, a track very similar to this. The difference is going to be, though, the temperatures. The weather all around is just going to change the whole dynamic of this race, and I'm not sure we can count on any one driver to be just as good here as at Charlotte, other than Chris Jennings. Chris Jennings, you haven't been here, Terry, but for those viewers who are returning, you'll recognize his name. He's been up front for just about every race we've broadcast over here in the All-Star Sim Racing Manifold Truck Series, and I don't see him slowing down just yet. I think he's got the truck to beat quite clearly.
That's great. I was actually just looking at the track temperature. Track temperature is 105 degrees. Imagine these cars are going to start getting slick, especially once those tires wear out.
Yeah, for sure. I think with the full fuel load in the back of the truck, though, they're going to get loose, most loose or loosest towards the start of the run, and calm down as the tires get worn in and some weight comes off the back end. Might get real loose towards the end of a run, though, once there's just no grip left on the tires. But I think these guys are going to feel most comfortable right about now in the race. You know, everything's going right so far. We haven't had any wrecks, no problems just yet. And we're just getting into the groove of things, and it's only going to get more hectic from here, especially for those guys in positions to battle for a championship spot. As we mentioned, there's 8 guys currently coming into this race. This is the next to last race of the round, who are all trying to work their way into the final race of the season at Homestead Miami Speedway. We have the elimination after next week's race at Phoenix, and it's going to be extremely important to have momentum going from Texas to Phoenix, so this race matters a bunch, even if you don't win.
Oh, definitely. Looking at, looks like Bradley Wilson is out there by himself in second place. He looks like Chris Jennings is actually starting to pull away from him a little bit, but Bradley's starting to pull away from third, fourth, and fifth. A great battle back there for those.
Yeah, for sure. Currently, Bradley Wilson holding strong in second place, following Chris Jennings, who is still your leader. I don't think we'll be seeing that change anytime soon. Currently, though, Scott Brotherton running P3. Jeremy Bazemore, currently the highest chase driver who doesn't already have a win to get into round 3. He is running fourth place, just ahead of Aiden Young. Aiden Young been one of those guys who could easily play spoiler any given week here in the Manifold Truck Series, and he's not in the chase. Most of these chase trucks will have yellow numbers rather, and yellow spoilers, maybe yellow banners and splitters. Can't guarantee that they all do. I know there's like the 23 that doesn't, but most of them will, so that should help identify most of the chase trucks out here tonight. Currently, Aiden Young trying to get by that Haas number 1 of Jeremy Bazemore, though, as we go down into turn 1 on lap 12 of 115. Jeremy Bazemore going to try the crossover out of turn 2 on Aiden Young. He gets the nose down to the inside as we go on board with him in the Haas number 1. He's going to get the nose ahead down through turns 3 and 4, but sometimes that isn't the best place to be right there on the bottom where he is. You know, Aiden Young can get that run out of the corner, and I think that's what Aiden is banking on right now as they battle. Aiden in the Safe Light Auto Glass Pit Stop Insider Chevrolet. He's actually looking like he's going to give that spot up to Jeremy Bazemore, just running behind him for a little bit. Maybe try for the crossover himself down here into turns 3 and 4. Down the back straightaway, put Aiden Young back to the inside of number 1. He's going to actually be pulling up on the number 3 here soon if he completes this pass. Scott Brotherton starting to fall back into the clutches of these guys as they battle. So it looks like we're having a bit of technical difficulties with our co-commentator Terry Mason, but that was some good driving there from Aiden Young. That I was trying to call that, couldn't think of any words. I mean, that was really sketchy right there for Aiden Young in the number 999. He looks like he maybe tried to throw a bit of a slider on the number 1 of Jeremy Bazemore. Slowed up a little bit right in front of the right front of the number 1, and I don't think Jeremy Bazemore was necessarily liking that a non-chase driver was racing him so hard right at that moment, and decided to give him a little bit of a punt. Maybe he was just trying to stay off him a little bit, because that does look like it maybe hurt the right front of his truck as he gets into the wall there. I think it's definitely having adverse effects on Jeremy Bazemore's number 1, but Aiden Young hung on to it. Currently, these guys are trying to give everybody as much room as possible. Even with that bit of contact, they're doing what they can. It's going to be tough, though, as these laps go on to keep a truck that's been in the wall out of the wall, as we already see Jeremy Bazemore feeling the adverse effects of that contact, both with Aiden Young and next with the wall. So currently only lap 16 out of 115. As we wait on Terry Mason to get his issue sorted out, we're going to take just one quick commercial break to give my voice a rest, so that if I have to, I can commentate the whole thing on my own, but hopefully we'll get Terry Mason sorted out. We'll take one quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. And we are back here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Currently still watching Jeremy Bazemore as he continues to deal with a little bit of damage that he got from first getting into the number 999 of Aiden Young, and then afterwards getting into the wall out of turn 2. He's fallen all the way back into 9th place, and I think he's going to continue to slip back as he's moving his line up the track, maybe just to try and preserve whatever he has left in the tires. It's certainly not much after the way that truck is damaged and he's been having to run it, but we'll go back up to the front here for a moment. Chris Jennings is still leading. He's pulled a 2-second lead now over Scott Brotherton, running in second. Third place is going to be Bradley P. Wilson. He's running third. He's running, a few tenths off of the number 3 car, and just a little bit ahead of the guys right behind him. He's got a few tenths back to Joe Hudson as well, as it looks like 5th place is going to be Mike Kelly in the number 2.
Looks like currently running in 6th place we have Mike Matazzi. 7th place is James McKee. 8th place we have Mike A. Perry. 9th place we have Jimmy North. And 10th place we have Jeremy Bazemore. That will round out our top 10.
And in 11th we've got Aiden Young in the number 999, where he got together just a little while ago with Jeremy Bazemore. That's what sent Jeremy Bazemore back through the field, a little bit of damage there. In 12th place is going to be Cody Spiker in the number 19. Currently running right ahead of, actually he just got passed by Josh Cheney in the number 4. Now he's just ahead of teammate Jeff Gilmore in the number 57. Currently battling with Ed Burrell to hold on to 14th. And behind him is going to be Blake O'Connell, our pole sitter. He gave up the spot to keep from endangering other drivers with his little bit of a connection problem. He's running 16th. At 17th, we're going to have Randy Roberts in the number 09. And actually, he just got passed by Kurt Rittenberg for 17th. 19th, we're going to have Matthew Miller in the number 78. And he is currently battling for 19th with the number 26 of Jeremy Rittenberg. So, Terry, I know you had a bit of a not connection problem, but technical issue there, but who are you thinking might have what it takes to come from, not from the lead, but come from a little bit further back and try and get this win?
Well, I picked Blake to begin with, and I think I'm going to stick with him. I got to give him props for the sportsmanship he showed earlier, and I've been watching, just trying to keep an eye on his connections, and I think he's going to come back up through the field.
Yeah, Blake O'Connell has been one of the stronger guys out here. We've got 4 Pan Designs trucks all on top of each other here through turns 3 and 4. Aiden Young dealing with some damage on the left rear and probably some worn out tires. But as these guys work their way through here, Blake O'Connell, one of the faster guys in the series, just hasn't been able to close anything out. He got the apron a little bit there, but he continues on. I think he's got what it takes for sure to get a win. He just needs to actually close out on it. Last week he had a little bit of trouble, got into the wall early and couldn't battle back from it, but I think tonight, if he keeps that truck out of the wall and other trucks, he couldn't have a very, very good chance, of course, considering he won the pole, of going out here and getting this win on a short run. Don't know how his long run speed is, but up towards the front, we've actually just had a position change for second place. Bradley P. Wilson leading a bunch of drivers up to the number 3 of Scott Brotherton. Took second place away for a moment, and they're still doing battle here through turns 3 and 4.
It's definitely a great battle to watch. Everyone is still giving everyone a lot of room, and looks like we're just going to get back in single file now and kind of fill each other out. And let's get this. Bradley's got out. Someone looking to the outside of him. Sorry, my thing's just not caught up yet. Must be having some internet issues. I do apologize, everyone.
Sorry to leave you hanging there for a moment, Terry. Had to take care of something real quick. But anyways, we got Mike Kelly now doing battle with the number 66 of Bradley Wilson. Mike Kelly has the advantage down under turns 3 and 4. Scott Brotherton trying to make it 3 wide with Jimmy McKee to his inside. Bradley P. Wilson going to be stranded up top as Brotherton will think better of it, drops him behind the number 5. So going back up to the leader, Chris Jennings currently. His lead had dissolved just a little bit when these guys were battling a little while ago, or running single file rather, a little while ago, but now that they're battling, he's been able to lengthen that lead out just a little bit more. He's up to a 3-second lead now as he continues on in that number 88 Exalta Chevrolet, and I really think, we've been saying it for weeks, he's got to be your favorite for the championship at this point in the Manifold Truck Series.
Starting to look like Bradley Wilson is starting to fall back in that field a little bit now. He was up there running second and third. Looks like he has some competition now for 4th place.
Yeah, and as we go to Bradley P. Wilson's visor cam in that number 66, we can see he's currently trying to follow the number 5 of Jimmy McKee around the track. Jimmy McKee just got passed back actually by Mike Kelly in the number 2. And Bradley's trying to defend that position from Scott Brotherton in the number 3. The 3 and the 66 have been going back and forth all race just about, and we've got a good chunk of this race out of the way actually. We're already 32 laps into the event, and it's only 115 laps total, so these guys already knocking out a big chunk of the race. I just want to talk about somebody real quick though. That's going to be Joe Hudson as we see him make a big move to the inside. Joe Hudson won back at Charlotte a few weeks ago. We got to talk to him, of course, because he won. And I just want to reiterate, this guy's maybe part of the older crowd, of course. He's about 54, I believe he said in his interview. And, just want to continue to give him props. He obviously knows what he's doing, considering he got a ride with Mike Carmen Racing back in, I believe it was August. It was actually early September when they ran the race. But he got a ride from Mike Harmon Racing to go run the number 74 truck at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Just want to give him a quick shout out for managing to land that ride. Obviously, really cool deal. I'm sure it's your dream along with mine, Terry, to one day get behind the wheel of one of these cars or trucks, what have you. So definitely really cool. Even at the age of about 54, he was able to fulfill one of his life dreams and actually get to race in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. It's got to be really cool for sure, and he continues to share some of that bit of success, even if the truck wasn't as he wanted it that weekend. Continues to show that he knows what he's doing as he runs up front week in and week out here in the Manifold Truck Series.
That is awesome. I did not know that about him. Yeah, one day I would love to get the opportunity, but I kept saying 40 years old. Probably a little too old for that, but hearing that he's 56, maybe there is hope for me yet.
Yeah, I think you can never be too old to get your dreams accomplished there, as Joe Hudson, I believe, was about 54 at the time. It looks like he's coming into pit right now, actually, as he brings that Caterpillar Chevrolet modeled after Andy Houston's old paint scheme down into the pit lane. For 4 tires and presumably a full tank of fuel. As currently Chris Jennings continues to lead by just under 3 seconds over Mike Kelly in P2. Jimmy McKee is about 3 seconds behind Chris Jennings as a whole. He's a couple tenths behind Mike Kelly, trying to keep pace with him, of course, and try and better his chances to get into Homestead after next week's elimination round at Phoenix. And I believe we'll have a week off between Phoenix and Homestead, and then be right back at it in a couple of weeks for the championship round at Homestead Miami Speedway. And that one I know will be a thriller, because we don't have nighttime, so it's going to be a little less grippy for these guys than you see in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. It's going to be more slick, more like tonight, I would presume, where these guys are going to be slipping and sliding around on exit of the corners, and we'll be waiting for these guys to make their way into the pits now. We've run about 40 laps, and we already saw Joe Hudson and Mike Montesi, the number 7, come in. These guys have to be the next to follow.
Oh, definitely. I was actually just looking at some of the leaders' lap times and just seeing how much the times have dropped off with the tire wear. So the longer you stay out there with older tires, you're giving up a lot of track position from everyone else that's pitted.
Yeah, and currently we have Cody Spiker and Kurt Rittenberg both in the pits right now. We actually have a camera right above Kurt Rittenberg's pit box, so that's, I guess, rather convenient. He'll be jacking up the left side of the truck now to get left side tires on there, and he will pull out of the pit box, head back out onto the track, but currently still got Chris Jennings out front. Looks like we now have a plethora of drivers coming down pit road. Gonna begin with Mike Kelly, actually, who's running second place. He's getting right sides on the truck. The truck will jack back down and jack back up to get the left sides on. Jeff Gilmore followed him into the pits, as well as Jeremy Rittenberg, Blake O'Connell, and David Daliber. So, like I said, a plethora of drivers come in as Chris Jennings is also down the pit road now. And he, of course, is going to take a pit stall pretty close to the front of, or the end, rather, of pit road, as Bradley P. Wilson will stay out and get a lap led, presumably come in this time or the next. Doesn't want to lose too much time, as you mentioned, Terry. You know, the longer these guys run, the more time they're going to give up to the guys running fresh tires. Bradley Wilson going to bring the number 66 into the pits this time by. Scott Brotherton going to run one more lap.
Yep, Bradley made a nice entry along with coming on the pit lane. I thought he was actually going to get caught speeding, but look, he got it woed down just in time.
And we'll be watching for that number 3 to come in this time, as he is. He's going to come out of turns 3 and 4, immediately go down the banking to the apron, and Chris Jennings actually just passed him back to get back onto the lead lap. We'll have to see where these guys cycle out as Scott Brotherton brings that number 3 down pit road at a very slow speed of, I believe, about 60 miles an hour or 55 miles an hour tonight, one of the two, somewhere around there anyways. He's going to bring that Rims 1 Chevrolet through the pit road, get his service. Aiden Young, I think, is still on the track, has not yet pitted, but I believe he's going to have to come in this time.
Oh, definitely, and I just had to kind of clarify, look for myself, speed limit on pit lane is 50 miles an hour tonight.
All right, so I was just completely off. As we see Aiden Young going to bring his number 999 Safelite Auto Glass Chevrolet down the pit road, makes pit road speed, and will bring that truck in for service, as Richard Fletcher will take over the lead momentarily in that Castrol Toyota Tundra, not a Chevrolet. Richard Fletcher, one of those guys that we like to see get up to the front, isn't always up there, so even though it's on a long run, nice to see him up there. Number 43 is going to lead on lap number 43. How convenient. And I'm not sure when he'll bring the Castrol Tundra into the pits, but it's not going to be this time by. And actually, he's in the wall down the front straightaway.
Yeah, looks like he was trying to get out of the faster truck's way, and that's one of the bad things about staying out on old tires. When you have so many fast trucks trying to pass you and you're trying to get out of the way, it's easy to put yourself in a bad situation.
Yeah, it really is, and it looks like that's going to be pretty serious damage to the whole right side of the truck. He really did go up there and pancake the wall. I guess broadcaster's curse of mentioning him there, and then he ends up doing that. But yeah, like you mentioned, was just trying to get out of the way of guys who were faster and coming up behind him, since he was still on old tires. He was just trying to be respectful and, make their lives easier, and in the process, he, on the old tires, he just couldn't get the truck turned back and left to make the rest of the quad oval. Ended up getting into the wall pretty hard. I would assume that since he was already behind to begin with, he'll probably end up getting a lot of that damage repaired to, just get it out of the way now and then try and catch up the rest of the race. But he doesn't actually. He'll get right back onto the track, and he's going to, I believe, resume around the 15th, 16th, or 17th position. He's got a lot of damage to that truck. Actually, no, it's going to be around 20th.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at the right side of it now. You can definitely see he's got some damage around the right front fender and on the door panel. Looks like it's caved in a little bit, but I got to give a shout out to all the drivers behind him when he got into the wall. Good heads up driving for everyone to not just get into him and turn it into a bigger situation.
Well, as Richard Fletcher gets back up to speed out of pit road down the back straightaway, we are still green. We haven't had a single caution all night. It's currently lap 47 of 115. It's a 172.5 mile race, like I mentioned earlier, and Chris Jennings has led just about the whole of it. Blake O'Connell did start on pole. He led a few laps, but was had to suffer going to the back of the field by his own choice, I do believe, due to some impurities in his connection, causing him to be an endangerment to other drivers. And so Chris Jennings was able to assume the lead when Blake did that in turns 3 and 4, about 40 laps ago. And Jennings has not looked back at all. He's led the whole thing since then, aside from just a few laps there while we were going through green flag pit stops, and now he's right back into the lead. But one thing I want to mention, Mike Kelly is now a lot closer to Chris Jennings than he was when they decided to come in for the pit stops. So you have to wonder what exactly Mike Kelly did there to gain that time.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with the race that Chris Jennings has been running. And once he's got to the front, he's never looked back, and he actually just keeps pulling away from the field. And I'm wondering, I didn't get the chance to watch the pit stop to make up some time. I wonder if he maybe a little less fuel. That way he was able to get off the track a little quicker. There's always a lot of different possibilities. Races can be won or lost on pit lane.
Yeah, for sure, although I'm not exactly certain what exactly it was that got Mike Kelly the few tenths that he did, but he has lost it back now, so I guess it's not the most important story of the night anymore. But if he had been able to hold that spot, it was definitely going to be something to look out for, considering he was almost a whole second closer to the number 88 of Chris Jennings, but now there's a big gap all the way back to third place Joe Hudson. That's going to be about a 4.5-5 second gap from Mike Kelly to Joe Hudson. That's going to be from second place all the way back to third. And then that number 12, Joe Hudson, is battling with the number 5 of Jimmy McKee. Mike Montesi is in tow, just a little ways behind them. So currently, not much has changed from about 30 laps ago, really. It's just a matter of there's a bigger gap from first to third, and a few of these guys have fallen back. For example, it looks like the number 66 of Bradley B. Wilson, who we were talking about so positively early on, has fallen all the way back to P11. He did stay out a little bit longer on that run, which probably was a big portion of why he's so far back right now from the leaders. He was only about 4 seconds back when he pitted, or at least when pit stop started, but he stayed out quite a bit longer than Chris Jennings and Mike Kelly, and ran those slower lap times to get a lap led. And now we see the adverse effects, as he is currently, like we said, running P11, trying to chase down the number 10 of Mike Perry and defend that position from the number 57 of Jeff Gilmore. So we'll take a moment to run through the field. We'll start back all the way up at the front with Chris Jennings in the number 88 Exalta Chevrolet. As we've been mentioning, he's led just about the whole thing, minus about 10 laps at the start, maybe even less than that, and a few laps through green flag pit stops. It does look like maybe he got into the wall a little while ago. He's got some right front damage. As we move on to second place, it's going to be Mike Kelly in the number 2. He's been just doing his best to keep pace with Chris Jennings, but currently it's not working at all. He's lost a second since pit stops, and he continues to slip back, and it looks like we just had a position change for third place. Put Jimmy McKee in third. Joe Hudson currently trying to get back up to him. Joe is running fourth on the night in the number 12 Caterpillar Chevrolet. And rounding out your top 5 is going to be the number 7 Exide Chevrolet of Mike Montesi.
Currently running 6th place, we have Jimmy North. I don't think we've mentioned his name tonight. It's good to see him up there. 7th place, we have Cody Specker. 8th place, we have Josh Cheney. 9th place, we have Scott Brotherton. And 10th place, we have Mike Perry.
And continuing to try and search down that number 10 of Mike Perry is going to be the number 66 of Bradley P. Wilson in the Oil Can Hancock's Chevrolet Silverado. He started up front in third place, but has since fallen back, I believe, just because he did stay out longer. As I mentioned just a little bit ago, did stay out longer on that last run, and it's just been going in the wrong direction. He's going to have to work on that for the rest of the race if he ever gets a chance. Currently running 12th, it's going to be Jeff Gilmore in the number 57 Chevrolet Silverado, sponsored by TN Designs. Behind him is going to be one of his teammates. That's going to be Blake O'Connell in the number 67, our pole sitter. He's actually been able to pretty much stabilize where he's running. He's gotten into the wall, it looks like, at one point or another. Got some right front damage, just as our leader, Chris Jennings, but Blake O'Connell in a much less favorable position, currently running about 17 seconds behind the leader. But the good news for him is he's got about 4 seconds all the way back to Randy Roberts in 15th position, who is battling, it looks like, with Kurt Rittenberg.
Currently in 17th, we have Ed Burrell. 18th, we have Jeremy Bazemore. 19th, Matthew Miller. In 20th, we have Jeremy Rittenberg. And 21st, 999 of Aiden Young.
And what's really surprising me is Aiden Young is running all the way back here in 21st. You know, like we covered earlier, he got a little bit of damage from the event a little while ago with Jeremy Bazemore, but that shouldn't have put him all the way back to 21st from about 4th. So it's kind of intriguing that he's fallen all the way this far back into 21st position, currently battling with a sponsor affiliate there in Matthew Miller in the number 78. They're not teammates. You'll see the 4 TN Designs trucks that are teammates, and then as TN Designs and Pit Stop Insider are aligned, that number 999 becomes a sponsor affiliate. And that's about it. But I know he is, you know, working together, has the same kind of values as those 4. As they do battle for 20th position, we will go all the way back up to our leader, who actually is right behind these guys, about to put them a lap down. Is going to be Chris Jennings in the number 88 Exalta Chevrolet. And Sarah, I tell you what, this is what we've been seeing out of this guy for a couple of months now. He has shown no signs of letting up. He's won a lot of races just since coming back, or just since we came onto the series, and even before then I think he'd won 6 or 7 races. So he's clearly got to be the favorite to win this championship as he continues this success. What do you think as a first impression? Is this your first time calling one of these races?
Yeah, definitely. This is especially the first time I have watched these guys run, and I've been very impressed. And I can see why Chris Jennings wins a lot. He has a very fast truck, and he just drives it so smoothly. I've been riding in car with him, just watching his steering wheel.
Yeah, as mentioned, riding on board with him, I'll actually kick up his visor cam as he chases down that number 78 of Matthew Miller. You can see exactly what Chris Jennings is seeing. You can see even his steering wheel input down at the bottom of your screen as the race scrolls by. Doesn't even put a whole lot of wheel into the truck. He's really just turning it about 45 degrees and getting back into the gas and powering up out of the corner as he pulls up on the number 78, getting ready to put him a lap down.
Yeah, like I said, he's a very smooth driver and very quick, and I bet he probably gets a lot of good tire wear just driving smoothly. You know, the more you sit there and you saw your wheel and push your car, you'll burn your tires up a whole lot quicker. So this guy, he definitely knows how to save his tires.
For sure, and we're going to take a quick commercial break because we eclipsed halfway a little while ago. Currently, Jeremy Bazemore has actually been overcome by the number 999. We're going to follow these guys as the race goes on, considering they had that little run-in earlier on. But we're going to take one quick commercial break, and this should hopefully be our final one for the night, unless we get a caution. And we'll see you guys in just a couple of laps. And I welcome you back to the Lone Star 175. Currently still got Chris Jennings out front by a country mile over Mike Kelly. They say everything's bigger in Texas, and I think his lead is starting to, or really continuing to get bigger as the laps wind down. We've got 47 laps to go out of 115. Chris Jennings, no signs of looking back as he laps Aiden Young. Aiden Young and Jeremy Bazemore, a title contender, got together earlier in the race, and that's mired them both back, way back in traffic, really. They're both lapped down now. Aiden Young running 17th, was just lapped by leader Chris Jennings, and Jeremy Bazemore is running 19th behind Matthew Miller. He's been a lap down for a couple laps now, so it's really taken a toll on that number one as the race has gone on, and I can only imagine it's going to get worse as we go on unless we get a caution and Jeremy Bazemore gets a chance to bring that truck into the pits and properly get it worked on. But currently, running second place, what can you tell us about Mike Kelly, sorry?
Mike Kelly, he's just running second place. He's looks like he's just content, just still moving around the track, trying to find a good place for his truck. It looks like we have some pit stops being made in front of him. That was close.
Yeah, Mike Kelly was our winner a couple of months back at Dover. I think it was about our 5th race broadcasting this series, and he's definitely shown a lot of speed even since. He hasn't slowed down in any way, shape, or form as he comes around the back straightaway this time. I think he'll be in the pits before Chris Jennings, but I don't think that's going to really matter considering he's 4.5, almost 5 seconds back right now. And it's kind of incredible just how large this lead is for Chris Jennings. We're going to bring up our digger cam real quick and show you the gap. There goes Chris Jennings through turns 1 and 2. Aiden Young, Matthew Miller, and there is Mike Kelly. Had time to talk about 2 trucks in between them before Mike Kelly even got to the same place as the number 88, 4.5, 5 seconds before him. So it's really just a huge lead that he's got, and it continues to grow. We're nearing 5 seconds now. I was kind of exaggerating when I said 4.5 to 5, but now it really is 5 seconds as they go off into turn 1.
Yeah, he's just had a very impressive run. I know I was still putting my money on Blake Connell though. Like I said, I picked him to start off, and I'm hoping he can find some good luck in this race.
Well, as you mentioned, Blake O'Connell, he's actually coming down the pit road right now in the number 67. He'll get his service, 4 tires presumably, and a full tank of gas as these guys are starting to kick off green flag pit stops once more. We also got his teammate Jeff Gilmore in the pits, and I would not be surprised to see some of these guys running from 6th on to about 10th come in a little bit early, try and get a leg up on the leader of Chris Jennings. Blake O'Connell will be leaving here in just a moment. He was our pole sitter tonight, so if we get a caution, I wouldn't be surprised to see him move his way through the field. But currently, we're going to go back up to our leader. Scott Brotherton and Mike Montesi make their way into the pits. I mean, I hate to talk about Chris Jennings so much because it takes away from the rest of the field, but he just really is putting on a phenomenal show. I haven't seen a guy take off at Texas like this since Jimmy Johnson.
That is so true. Like I said, I'm with you. I'm at a loss of words just watching how he's just dominated this race, and he is still managing to pick up cars and put them a lap down, even with older tires.
And currently he's working his way through turn 2 as we watched Josh Chaney complete his pit stop, and he has re-merged back onto the track. I believe we're going to see the number 78 come in just a moment. He came over the all teams just a second ago, and I believe notified everyone around him that he's coming in, and he is. He was running a lap down, actually in 13th position by virtue of green flag pit stops. He picked up a couple of spots. He was running about 17th before pit stops got underway, but now he's going to make his way through pit road, get some service done to his truck. Looks like maybe he needs some body repairs to the right side of that thing, as It looks like most of the field has actually gone up and caught the wall at one point or another tonight.
Yeah, it's probably a little easy to do coming out of turn 4. It's easy to kind of not try over, just kind of push up and just kiss that wall right around the flag stand.
And I want to mention that once these guys do come in, they're going to be good to the end rather easily. We're under 40 to go, as we're currently taking about 36 to go, I believe, here in just a moment. Currently, Ed Burrell working on Bradley Wilson, not for position, but definitely for track position, I suppose. Ed Burrell in that Unta Beer number, or Unta Brewing. Number 17.
We got trouble on the back straightaway.
Oh, that's Joe Hudson. And that was big. Though I'm not sure we're even going to get a caution out of it. He continues on. I know he did collect the number 78, as I think that's going to end Matthew Miller's night. He's going to go back up on the track, see what the truck is like, but I don't think he's going to have much left. We're going to take a look back at that, of course. That was Joe Hudson in the number 12. We're going to see what we can see here. Looks like he was racing with the number 84 of Jimmy North. And I really don't know what happens. Looks like maybe he just got loose. Yeah, he just gets loose out of turn 2. Gets into the inside wall, comes back up the track in front of the field, in front of Ed Burrell, who we were just talking about. And then back to the inside wall and collects the number 78.
Yeah, that was a scary moment for every driver behind him. It looks like he was just coming out of turn 2 and the rear end just kicked out. He pounded the inside wall that came back up on the track in front of all the other drivers.
And as soon as he realized that the motor was done, he just went ahead and towed. And on iRacing, basically towing is holding escape, and you get to go straight back to your pit box, but it does penalize you for a certain amount of time before you can move again. And these guys don't have fast repairs in this series, so he'll be waiting for quite a while before he gets to do anything with that truck for required repairs, as they call them, on the iRacing service. But going back up to the lead, it's now switched hands to Jimmy McKee by virtue of green flag pit stops, as he'll actually make his stop in just a moment here. He brings that number 5 Red Bull Toyota Tundra down the pit lane at a slow 50 miles an hour. He had stayed out a couple of laps to get that lead, as we didn't see while we were watching the number 12. We didn't see the number 88 make his way into the pits, but Chris Jennings, as well as most of the field, has made their way down pit road. Bradley P. Wilson currently, though, will assume the lead. Just as he did the previous run, he's going to run out there for a couple more laps. I think it's going to hurt him in the long run, though, Terry.
I definitely agree with that. That's kind of what we were talking about near the beginning of the race, where staying out on older tires, it just seems to put you more at a disadvantage than for the cars that's already pitted and got fresh tires. Because every time you stay out there, you're losing seconds on the track to the faster cars.
And he continues to run these slower laps currently on the older tires. But I think he's going to be bringing the number 66 down through pit road this time. Actually, no, he doesn't look like maybe he was getting ready to make the run down pit road at 50 miles an hour. It's certainly a kind of a challenging thing to do here at Texas Motor Speedway, considering you're going from some 180 miles an hour in the corners down to 50 miles an hour to make pit speed, as Cody Spiker, it looks like, no, Jeff Gilmore will come up on his inside and pass him. I think Bradley's coming in this time. He is. He's going to radio to the other drivers, make sure they know to go high here as he makes his approach to pit road. As he gets that thing lowered down to get down to pit speed, and we'll make it through the yellow cones.
Yeah, I think you're starting to realize when you get a group of faster cars coming up behind you, you don't want the same issue that we had earlier when just trying to get out of the way could put yourself in the wall and just put you out of contention for the race.
He almost stopped a little bit short there, almost in the 88's box, but he gets into his box and will get his service completed as Chris Jennings will reassume the lead. It looks like maybe we have no real way of telling. Actually, the ticker's going a little bit wonky considering Bradley Wilson hit it, but I think we're going to have the 88 about 3 seconds ahead of Mike Kelly. Once these guys cycle around, Mike Kelly coming by the line now, and it will be about 2.5, 3 seconds. The deficit from Chris Jennings to Mike Kelly. So Mike Kelly better in the pits, better maybe with old tires versus new tires. I'm not really sure how he's gaining that much time, but last run we saw him give it all back, and I think we're going to see the same thing here. As we were mentioning Bradley Wilson just a moment ago, he's dropping all the way back to around 15th position since he stayed out so long.
Yeah, I'm just kind of going back watching the replays and seeing how you can gain that time. It looks like Mike was making a harder entry into the pits, where he actually made up a lot of time compared to Chris Jennings.
And, that's one of the things you got to balance is, you can't come into the pits too fast, of course. You'll get the penalty for speeding. But you have to come into the pits fast enough that you don't give up so much time that the guy running behind you ends up making up 2 or 3 seconds on you like we saw Mike Kelly do. But as I mentioned, I think Mike Kelly's going to give most of it, if not all of it, right back. As the run goes on, Chris Jennings just seems to be on rails tonight. And for some of you more iRacing savvy folks, this is a fixed setup race. These guys don't get the liberty of making their own setups in order to go as fast as possible. These guys are all in the same setup. The only thing they can change is the brake bias, so the percentage of how much brake goes to, or braking power goes to the front versus the rear, and the steering box, which is basically just the ratio of how far a certain amount on your real wheel turns the iRacing wheel. So the steering box with the steering ratio and the steering offset and the brake bias are the only things you can change. So other than that, every truck is the same, so it's really kind of surprising when you see somebody go out here and lead by 3 to 5 seconds like Chris Jennings is and has been all night.
Exactly. That's where a lot of practice will come in too. Before the race, is just knowing how hard you can drive the truck without beating it up, and then knowing what the truck will feel like on long runs and where you might need to move around the track to see where you're going to get grip.
And as we'll go back to the visor cam and the number 88 of Chris Jennings, he's currently actually running about a groove down from the wall down the back straightaway to give Kurt Rittenberg to his outside a little bit of room here. Kurt Rittenberg is one of your chase drivers in the 00. We'll actually bring up the chase grid one more time as these guys run. Currently, Chris Jennings, as we come into this race, is the only driver locked in, and I think he's going to prevent a third driver from being able to ever lock in this round, as there's only going to be one more chance if he ends up closing this race out, one more chance to get a win this round. And Jeremy Rittenberg came into this event in second place over his brother Kurt Rittenberg and David Dolliber. Those were the 4 guys currently in for Homestead. Now, as long as these guys do their best to maintain, which currently they're doing a decent job of, but David Dolliber is currently running 14th, which is going to be giving up some points there. Jeremy Rittenberg running 17th. Kurt Rittenberg is currently running in 15th. So they're all running about 15th position. The good news is one of the other guys they're racing going to be Jeremy Bazemore. He's currently running a little ways back as well. And they're also racing Doug McCullum and Mike Perry and Matthew Cox. We'll take a look at them. Currently, Mike Perry is going to be running in 10th position, battling with Mike Montesi and Jeff Gilmore. We also have to keep track of the 04, who I don't see in the field tonight, actually. So I think these guys are going to be mostly good. And Doug McCullum, it looks like, isn't even in the field at the moment. We pull him up, and he's currently in 23rd, not scored as on the track. So these guys may be able to make it in just by virtue of maintaining, and a couple of guys not even showing up tonight.
Yeah, that makes a big difference on the points. For a lot of them, just show up, make a lap, park it. And I wonder if that's kind of what had happened. With Doug McCollum.
as currently we're going to see a battle between a couple of chase contenders. For 16th position is going to be Jeremy Rittenberg pulling up on Jeremy Bazemore. He backs out before putting the nose to the inside of the number 1 down into turn 1. But he's going to try and get the pole out of turn 2 with help of the draft. We saw the number 1 get a little bit tail happy there on the exit of turn 2, as Jeremy Rittenberg will put his number 26 Toyota Tundra down to the inside. That is an Oliver Mobile Fleet Repair sponsored Toyota Tundra. We want to thank them for supporting us, as well as Scott Brotherton Images, TN Designs, Pit Stop Insider, of course, as well as 5-Star Drafting, Speed with Attitude, Motorsports, NMNTS, and the All-Star Sim Racing Manifold Truck Series, as we're seeing here. So, with that said, Chris Jennings has added another second to his lead over Mike Kelly as he puts Kurt Rittenberg 1 lap down and now goes to work on David Dolliver. The next car he will encounter on his run to the finish here will be Bradley Wilson after he gets by that number 23 of David Dolliver. He'll encounter Bradley Wilson next to put him a lap down, then Randy Roberts and Blake O'Connell. And those guys are 11th through 14th. So, I mean, we could end up with just about 10 cars on the lead lap, and that's it come the end of this race. What do you think, Terry?
I wouldn't be surprised to see that. I mean, we see that happen in actual races, especially like Texas, where it goes full green, where we've seen only 10, 12 cars finish on the lead lap. So I would not be surprised to see that at all. It looks like he's catching the number 23 fairly quickly, and that's only going to leave us with about 13 cars on the lead lap by the end of that.
Yeah, Chris Jennings continuing to pick him up and lay him down one by one as the laps wind down. We've got 15 laps to go. That means we are on lap 100 of 115. Mike Kelly currently running 4.3 seconds back of your leader, Chris Jennings. Josh Chaney running in third, about 9 seconds back of the leader. Scott Brotherton is going to be fourth place, about 12 seconds back, 12 to 13 seconds back. And Jimmy McKee will round out your top 5, about 13.5 seconds back. Cody Spiker currently running in the 6th position in that number 19 TN Designs Chevrolet. He's actually doing battle with Jimmy North, and Jimmy North actually just passed him for that 6th position, so now move Cody Spiker back 1 position into 7th. In 8th, we've got Mike Perry, one of our championship contenders, actually the highest running chase contender not already locked in, if I'm not mistaken, as we see Aiden Young continue to work on him. Aiden Young actually is a lap down, so that's not for position, but Mike Perry, as I mentioned, currently running 8th place. Mike Montesi currently running 9th, a few seconds behind Mike Perry. And Mike Montesi was strong in those first few races that PSI TV picked up for this league, but ever since he's been kind of in a downward slide. We'll look and see if he can't bring his performance back in these last few weeks here of the season. And to round out your top 10, we're going to have the number 57 of Jeff Gilmore, currently running 10th.
Running 11th, we have Bradley P. Wilson. Kind of shocked to see him back there when he first started this race. He was running up there in the top 5. 12th place, we have Randy Roberts. 13th place, we have my pick, Blake O'Connell. 14th, we have David Dolliver. 15th, Kurt Rittenberg. 16th, Jeremy Rittenberg. 17th, we have Jeremy Bazemore. 18th, Aiden Young. 19th, Richard Fletcher. And round out our top 20 will be Ed Burrell.
And real quick before we get the 10 to go signal from the flagman, I want to shout out Ed Burrell once more, just like I did last week at Kansas. Ed Burrell coming off of a recent surgery, so nice to see him out here running some laps in that number 17 Unta Brewing Chevrolet. Glad to say I did that paint scheme for him over at TN Designs, so definitely nice to see him running it out here on the track. Always like to see him out here in competition. He actually ran some street stock races in the hosted sessions with me last night. It was nice to be able to race with him, even if it didn't mean anything. It's nice to see him making a strong recovery and getting right back at it. He was, by talk of the town, one of the better drivers of the league, actually, before iRacing changed some tire models. Now he's kind of fallen off pace just a little bit, but I think as we move through the end of this season and the off season, he'll continue to get stronger once again as he goes by the 00 of Kurt Rittenberg.
I tell you what, if they were going to give an award for the most cars passed, that would definitely go for Chris Jennings.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think it'd actually go to Josh Chaney. I mean, I know Chris Jennings is lapping all these guys, but Josh Chaney started all the way back around, I want to say around 20th or so. Didn't take a qualifying time and has worked his way all the way up into third place. He is 12 seconds back of the leader, but he's got that position currently. Jimmy McKee is a few seconds back of him, so I think he'll be able to hold on to that pretty comfortably and finish third place in that number 4 Chevrolet. And I think this race is about to go wire to wire, green flag.
It definitely looks like it, and you are correct. I will take that back. But Josh Chaney started in 18th place and is up to third.
So I actually just figured out what one of my stats on my standings page here means. I want to talk about it for a second since it did end up costing Blake O'Connell in the long run. I have a blink counter, and it just went up one time for Josh Chaney to 22, but for Blake O'Connell, we're nearing 40 blinks from that number 67, so that's kind of why he pulled over and let these guys go by, and now we've got one from Aiden Young, so that's actually kind of an interesting stat that I hadn't noticed before. I believe Aiden Young is actually in the pits right now. I'm not sure if he's calling it a night. Looks like maybe he is, but as we near 5 laps to go, we'll go up to the number 88. That's going to be Chris Jennings, continuing to just put a walloping on this field. He's almost now 6 seconds ahead of Mike Kelly, Terry.
Yeah, again, I know we've talked about it this whole race, and it's been a very, very impressive race, and it'd take nothing less than a miracle for Mike Kelly to catch Chris.
Yeah, at this point, these guys are on some of the oldest tires they've had all night, and nothing about their trucks is going to feel good by now. So if you're not there, you're not there, and nobody's there on the number 88 of Chris Jennings. I think Chris Jennings, as long as we don't get a caution here, and actually if we do get a caution, as long as it's not him, he's got the win solidified, because we're in that bit of time where on iRacing some of us refer to it as, I guess the race-ending caution period. I don't know what we would refer to it as necessarily, but basically, since we're inside of 5 to go, if we get a caution, it's going to end the race, and these guys will pace out to finish the race. He's currently actually coming up on another truck to lap him, and I think that's going to be Blake O'Connell, your pick.
Yeah, it looks like it, but still, I think every driver on the track should be very proud of the race they've done today. I mean, we've almost went 115 laps, green flag. That's very, very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, we've only been on the air for an hour and 10 minutes, and these guys are about to finish their entire race for the night. So definitely a big hats off to everyone involved. We only saw that one incident, really, with Joe Hudson, where he got a little bit loose out of turn 2 and wrecked it on the back straightaway. But as we take 2 to go, we've actually got our first caution of the night, and I'm not sure where that is.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can locate that. Oh, looks like we had issues with Josh Chaney.
And we were just talking about him a few laps ago, how he was going to bring this home in third place rather easily, and he is the truck who was wrecked on the back straightaway. And he'll actually even lose the lap and start to lose it again down there on the apron in a wrecked race truck and old tires and slick conditions. It's not helping him right now as he tries to just nurse that thing back to the pits. We'll take a quick look back at that as these guys come around to take 1 to go in the race under caution. Josh Chaney was running pretty much on his own, but around some other trucks through turns 1 and 2. Looks like maybe he did the same thing as Joe Hudson. Actually, instead of just getting loose, he got up into the wall and rolled the truck. That's going to be one heck of a cockpit view. We'll go back and get a look at that after we watch the leader, Chris Jennings, take the win here in just a moment.
Yeah, I hate that for him. We were just bragging about him, and I guess, we call that the commentator curse again.
Yeah, but it's certainly no commentator curse tonight for the number 88 Chris Jennings. He's going to easily bring this thing home. Get the win tonight here at Texas Motor Speedway with these. As these guys are back up with the pace car going through turns 3 and 4. And coming out of turn 4 this time to take the checkered flag along with, I guess, continuing the yellow flag. And Chris Jennings will be your winner tonight at Texas Motor Speedway in the Lone Star 175.
Yeah, congrats to him. He worked hard. He earned that win tonight. Or this afternoon, I should say.
And as I organize some interviews here with drivers, we're going to take a quick look back at what happened there with the number 4 of Josh Chaney a couple of laps ago to bring out the first caution of the night with just 2 laps to go. We're actually going to try and go on board with him, as that was one heck of a ride. We'll go to the visor cam as he went up and over down the back straightaway going into turn 3. Let's see exactly what happens here from his view. He pushes up out of turn 2, gets into the wall down the back straightaway, tries to correct it off the wall, ends up correcting it all the way into the inside wall, and blinks while spinning, ends up with a very wrecked race car, and he will end up finishing, I believe, it looks like 18th on the night.
Well, you know he's got to be disappointed because he had a top 3 car.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we were just talking about how he was running in third, doing a very good job tonight. And then we see him end up with those troubles out of turn 2 down to that straightaway. Very similar to what Joe Hudson did earlier in the event, and very detrimental to his finish. But we'll take a look at the number 88 as he does some burnouts here on the front straightaway.
Oh, those are some well-deserved burnouts.
And we have a few guys lined up for interviews. First off, I'm going to bring up Jimmy North. Jimmy North was in the number 84 tonight. Jimmy North, this is Andrew up in the booth. Do you have a copy?
I most certainly do, sir.
Well, first off, congratulations on coming from the back, battling through that race. 115 laps, almost went completely caution-free until the end there, and you battled all the way up into 5th place despite starting a little bit towards the back. We didn't really get to talk about you a whole lot, but I'd say that was a pretty nice job at just becoming the dark horse of the night and ended up with a top 5 finish. What can you tell us about your run tonight?
Oh, just really awesome. Worked really well with my teammates, Mike Perry and B. McKee, or as we call him, James McKee. But practice, we were a little slow. Qualifying, a little bit better. Race trim, what I was doing, I was just kind of saving my tires for about the first 5 to 8 laps, you know, just kind of taking it easy on them, and then start tracking some of those guys down up front. But overall, a good effort for the team. You know, I was surprised that we came out of here 5th. Didn't have the speed, so hopefully going forward, you know, with these mile and a halves, we'll get better at qualifying.
Well, I'd say you definitely did a good job tonight, even without the qualifying speed that maybe you were looking for. Who do you want to thank for your run out here tonight?
I want to thank everybody at PSI TV. I want to thank Scott Brotherton, Kurt, Jeremy, and all the other guys that make this possible. Without you guys and the group of people here at All-Star Sim Racing, if it wasn't for them and you guys, this wouldn't happen. So just want to thank everybody out there for this.
All right. Well, thank you for your time up here in the booth. Once more, congratulations on a 5th place run, rather, as you continue to put on a pretty good show out here in the All-Star Sim Racing Manifold Truck Series. We'll let you go back up there with your team, and we'll actually bring in your teammate, Jimmy McKee.
All right, have a good night, guys. Thank you.
And we've got Jimmy McKee up here. Terry, I'll let you take it away.
All right. Excuse me 1 second. All right. You got a copy on me?
Yes, sir.
Excellent, excellent. Sorry about that. I've been having some mic issues all night, so I do apologize. Want to congratulate you on your run today. How'd your truck feel today?
Quite honestly, it felt like it was one of the better trucks I've had this year. Felt like the tires stayed on me pretty well. I never got tight, never got too loose. I felt just right the whole race, which was surprising. Because past few weeks I've been getting tight everywhere. Really screws up with my speed, but I felt like I had a good balance tonight.
Yeah, you looked really good out in the track tonight. You know, started 12th. You ended up with a top 3 finish. That's very impressive.
Yeah, felt pretty good. I've had some bad luck the last few weeks. Get caught up in other people's wrecks, but finally got to pull one out, and I can get off if you're happy.
I can understand now. I'm glad to see your luck's been changing. Anyone that you would like to thank?
Yes, Red Bull for a nice little paint scheme. They don't pay me any money, but by golly, it's a good looking paint scheme.
Very sharp. Well, all right. Appreciate your time.
Hey, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for broadcasting.
Not a problem. Thanks, guy.
All right, and we will pull in second place finisher Mike Kelly. Mike Kelly, this is Andrew up in the booth. Do you have a copy?
Hey, how you doing?
I have to imagine I'm not doing quite as well as you are, considering you went out there and put it on second place. I don't think anyone had anything for Chris Jennings, so take the 88 out, and I think you can call yourself a halfway winner, considering you put that number 2 truck in second place. Can't be disappointed in your run by any means, especially considering, you are just out here with most of the field just trying to pick up any wins you can. I mean, certainly a strong run for you and your team tonight. Do you think maybe on a short run, did you have anything for Mike Kelly? Or, sorry, you're Mike Kelly, for Chris Jennings, rather.
No, honestly, no. But, I mean, like you said, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, I had him covered, except for one guy. So, a little bit disappointed, just running for wins, as you said. And even though we had everyone covered pretty well, still, we were the first loser. But started midfield, had a strong truck, ran up, felt really good. I mean, I really didn't think I was going to be able to drive up to the front like that, to be honest. But it was really stout on the long runs, and it drove well. But Chris was just unfortunately in another zip code tonight, and didn't matter how hard I pushed or how much I tried to save, no matter what I did, he had us covered. So congrats to him on that.
For sure. Well, real quick, before we ask you who you want to thank and close the interview for the night, I was wondering, how were you able to make up so much time on the 88 during your pit stops?
Well, interesting you asked that. We were just having that discussion in the waiting room down there. And I honestly, my stops weren't anything spectacular as far as time in the pit box, but I think I just had really good pit entrances onto the pit road both times. The first time was luck because I was pretty much crashing, and I just saved it and got onto pit road without speeding, so it turned out to be a really good pit entry. The second time I nailed it really well, and that's what we were talking about. I was making up a second and a half or 2 seconds, both of those pit stops, and he just brushed it off and drove away.
For sure. Well, definitely doing a good job there, so at least you can take that home with you, I suppose. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go for tonight?
Well, definitely IKS and Sarah Kelly and Sewell attorneys. Got them back on the truck again tonight, so they got to ride onto the podium and get talked about in the interview tonight. Got the Tonka truck put away. And you guys for doing the broadcast. Always enjoy watching them. Thanks to the league for putting on a great race. I mean, 26 trucks, no cautions were essentially there till the end. So thanks to everybody for putting on a good, clean race. Had a lot of fun.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. We wish you the best of luck in future races here in the Manifold Truck Series, and we'll let you go for the night.
Thanks. It's a lot of fun running here.
And now, Terry, I'll let you move up race winner Chris Jennings.
Chris Jennings, this is Terry Mason up in the PSI booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, hey Terry, how you doing?
Not doing as good as you. Congrats on the win today.
Thank you. Yeah, pretty excited about it. Ran here all week in the open set, and so I kind of had some laps here this week and seemed to help out.
Yeah, I was discussing that during your race about practice, and it looks like you got plenty of practice because your truck looked like it was on a rail today.
Yeah, I was surprised this fix set was really comfortable, and it was good on the long run too. Just kept making it through the corners really nicely.
Well, awesome. Well, again, congratulations on your win this afternoon. Is there anyone you would like to thank?
Yeah, I want to thank All Star Sim Racing, a great league. Had a lot of fun here this season. Thank Kurt, Jeremy, Scott, all the guys on the league, and thanks to my sponsor Ben on Chrome, and having a great time.
Awesome. Well, I do appreciate it. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too, bud.
Well, I think that's going to be a pretty decent close on the night there, Terry. Thank you for coming up and broadcasting with me tonight. It's your first time here with the All-Star Sim Racing Manifold Truck Series broadcast. What do you think of the league so far? I think this is a pretty good race to make a first impression on. I'd say, what say you?
Oh, it was definitely an impression. It was amazing to watch these guys race. How 115 laps, just a couple incidents, but with no cautions, and just the amount of skill that's out there. So I believe I'm hooked. I do want to apologize to all the viewers out there with all the technical difficulties I was having earlier, but hopefully I'll have that situated by the next time we're broadcasting.
For sure, and I want to mention I was misspeaking quite a bit tonight. I was actually trying to always check on my phone, make sure that the broadcast was steady. It seems like there might have been some skipping issues. I do apologize for that. I actually noticed over the week that it was set to 720p, so we decided to go back to where it should be at 1080p, so there might have been some skipping issues to that, as I may have to adjust some of my iRacing graphics to make sure we can do that smoothly in the future, considering I thought we were running pretty smooth at 1080, but it was 720, so hopefully the quality is to where it should be now that I noticed that in my OBS settings, and I think we can call it a night. We'll go back over the points real quick here, Terry. Coming into tonight, Chris Jennings was the only driver locked in, and he will remain the only driver locked into the third and final round at Homestead Miami Speedway. Jeremy Rittenberg and Kurt Rittenberg, the two brothers, came home around 15th position, I do believe. And I'm correct there. Kurt Rittenberg will come home 14th, with Jeremy Rittenberg right behind him in 15th. So those guys just doing what they have to maintain their position in the points to get to Homestead. David Dolliver ran, it looks like, P13, so right ahead of them for his night. But I have to wonder if Jimmy McKee and Mike Perry will be able to pass them up. I think... So actually, Jimmy McKee is no longer in the chase, actually. It's my bad. He did not make the round of 8, so we don't have to worry about him, but Mike Perry is the name that still sticks out to me. He did come into this round as one of the contenders, and I think after that, really it comes down to the number 04 who was not here, the number 33 who was not here, and then Jeremy Bazemore with a pretty disappointing run in 16th position. So I think your points will stay mostly the same, but I do also think the number 10 is going to work his way up into this battle as we go into Phoenix next week.
Oh, definitely. And he got finishing 4th today. He's gained a lot of points.
For sure. Well, we're going to close the night down for you all. Thank you for watching. Tonight we had the Lone Star 175 from Texas Motor Speedway with the All-Star Sim Racing Manifold Truck Series. As always, want to thank them the NMNTS Racing Series, Oliver Mobile Fleet Repair, TN Designs, Pit Stop Insider, Scott Brotherton Images, and all the rest of our sponsors out here tonight. It was definitely a fun race to watch as these guys went green all night long, up until about 2 laps to go when an unfortunate event with Josh Cheney ended up with him 18th on the night when he was running 3rd when he had that mishap. So once more, this is Andrew up in the booth. We've got Terry Mason alongside of me, and we're going to close down for the night. I want to thank everyone for watching, and hopefully you tune in next week. We will have Phoenix International Raceway for you guys here from the All-Star Sim Racing Manifold Truck Series, and I believe Sunday we're going to have Richmond in the NMNTS ARCA Series. So with that said, I want to thank you all for tuning in, and I will catch you next week.
Good night, everyone.